Gurur Gurur Vishnu, Gururevo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. This knowledge is like one peacock was given opium at 5 p.m. and the next day he was there at 5 p.m. I want more. So this knowledge, once we get a niche of it, then we are always ready to get that knowledge. As Leslie was saying, what to do about peace and happiness when negative emotions are there. It is my nature. When I know my nature, that I am the peace, I am the happiness, all those negative emotions escape, they dissolve, they melt away by themselves. That is the basic understanding. So let us do a couple of times recitation of the second sutra, and then we will understand what is this second sutra says. The literal translation of the second sutra simply means yoga is emptying the mind of its content. So the content is emotion, Leslie. Content is a thought. So what happens when we empty the mind of its content? So see that. Just yogaschit. Can you say it couple of times? Yogaschit vratti nirodha. Yogaschit vratti nirodha. Yogaschit vratti nirodha. So now see that we will go in deeply in understanding this. I'll spend little more time in the very first chapter. So once we have a clarity of the sutras in the first chapter, then it becomes very easy for us to navigate on the path. You see, there are 4 words in it: yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha. There are 4 words. And I have written the meaning. So, the first sutra we have understood yoga is samadhi or higher meditation, chitta is mind. So, when we say mind, this mind means mind and memory, intellect and ego. And vritti means simply thought pattern, whether it's a negative thought pattern, positive thought pattern, negative emotion, positive emotion, emotions, behavior, modifications of the mind. So you see, vritti, the word vritti. Why we use the word vritti, we are going to understand. And the nirodha means not the suppression, oppression, fighting. It is stilling, quietening, emptying the mind. So the definition, when we define yoga in the first sutra, did you understand? I hope that you might have revised the lesson, you have heard it, so that the things makes it clear. Yoga is mindfulness. So why do we need to empty the mind? Why we need to empty the mind? Simple answer. That's how the Leslie raised the question: what to do with the negative emotion? Empty the mind. First is we are understanding why do we need to empty the mind. So we empty the mind from its content, whatever the content is present in the mind. So when we empty it, now the house is totally clear and clean. So we can reorganize. Now we are going to put those thoughts and feeling which are required for my evolution, for my progress. That is why we need to empty the mind. This mind has become an old home. We have never taken care of it. So complete. This is the one answer. Second answer, classical answer. The mind is veiled. Mind veils our true nature due to ignorance. Ignorance is caused by the incomplete knowledge. The incomplete knowledge makes the mind wander in search of happiness in the world outside. That is why we have negative emotions. We do. You cannot have any negative feeling, emotion, negative thought if there is no other. There is no other. You are not seeking that other. How can you have negative emotion? How can you say it is positive emotion? You have to become a peacock. Then only you, not only you understand, but then you see, oh, forget, no, who cares about these negative? I'm in peace and happiness. I live into that state. If the mind is searching for something outside in objects of the world, it cannot move inside in search of the real self. That is why we need to empty the mind. What Vyasa, the commentator, says about this sutra, not the Harvard professor, it will not work. You may have the highest IQ. We were just talking about Harvard University doing a research study. So that needs to be understood clearly. So there are three factors in the mind that causes the problem according to yoga, according to our masters. The first is the impurity. We say it is impurity in the mind. What is that impurity? The wandering mind is impurity. Obsessed mind is impurity. Huh? Then we say addicted mind is impurity. Anxious mind is impurity. Anger is impurity. Pride is impurity. Jealousy is impurity. Greed is impurity. The wandering of the mind, seeking happiness, love, truth is the superimposition on the object in the world. Take an example. I will take again an example to give to Leslie. I superimpose in my mind that Leslie will give me happiness. And I knock your door. You say, get lost. So what happens to my mind? Do I get a negative emotion? Yes. Why I get a negative emotion? Are you responsible or I am responsible? I am responsible. First, I superimposed in my mind. This is what you say negative emotion. See the understanding. Impurity in the mind. We are ignorant that the mind causes impurities by desire, by hesitation, by greed, by delusion, by pride, and there is a strong identification with the body, and then we live in these negative or so called emotions. You asked me the right question. The entire sutra is based on this. So the impurity in the mind simply means, pay attention. Will it happen in one day? No. The more I study, the more I am able to go deeper inside. Why? I have to study and practice regularly until I reach to that my real nature. The impurity in the mind simply means that I am interested in something other than the real self. Huh? How many people you all are? Now my mind is not at all interested in each one of you who seek happiness. This is the meaning. To seek happiness, in search of the happiness, I am not looking at you at all. Finished. You like my teaching, you hate my teaching, you react to my teaching, doesn't matter. Why does this doesn't matter? Because I am teaching based on the teachings of the masters. So, what is the impurity in the mind? That I am interested in something other than the real self. So, when I am interested in something else, the mind prompts us to do karma, to do action. I just gave an example that I will knock your door. Then what happens? Master suggests that we should do karma with a clarity in the mind, free from the ego, free from the desire. How you can think and dream of a negative emotions in your life? Forget about it. Second problem in the mind to empty it is the distraction. What is that distraction? I say, close your eyes, get ready for meditation, and the mind starts moving and fidgeting the body. So, distraction simply means we are not able to focus the mind on the self discovery. It is known as distraction. You don't blame others, the noise outside, the cat and the dog and the people. No, we say that mind is not interested in the self discovery. It is interested more in something outside. See, a positive understanding, Kate. We don't move by based on the modern psychology. So the lack of clarity is present because we do not study Eastern wisdom principles and do not contemplate and reflect on them. Then we go by the same what is common in the world outside. We should study modern science. We should not be hypnotized by modern science. Are you getting it? I'm not against knowledge. So when you are hypnotized by modern science, no, no, science says this. Come on, what the Eastern wisdom says, I have to understand that. It's also a knowledge. Are we talking of belief? No, no belief. Clarity, knowledge, and the knowledge remains the same everywhere. So we do not contemplate and reflect because we are busy or lazy or we oppose the knowledge. Can you ever think that why we oppose the knowledge? We go by belief. It's a blind belief. When we have a blind belief, there are constant distraction in the mind, especially during the meditation. So we have to get rid of this distraction before we succeed. Again, let me simplify the distraction in Eastern wisdom. The way they understand the distraction means we do not follow what we have decided to follow. How simple it is. I have decided to practice meditation. I close my eyes and I'm dreaming something else. I'm with my honey in a sea beach. What is this? There are a lot of things. You see that? That is the simple meaning. So I understood. Now I understand. Now I have the knowledge. Now mind is going there. So what the knowledge will do? I will understand. I will not fight. I will not suppress. I will understand. Hey mind, what you are doing now? Come back, sit, be ready, go into meditation. That is why we say mindfulness and meditation is effortless and natural. But you are creating an effort. And then you are asking a question because we live in ignorance. Understood? Two part distractions, and third is ignorance. Now, question comes. You see that? I'm asking a question and I'm answering. So you why when you don't ask any question when you say there is a heaven after death, I will go to heaven. So if you do not ask the question, you have a belief there is a hell, there is a heaven. Yoga doesn't work like this. Yoga says why, how, where, when. Be very clear. And when there is a clarity in the mind, what happens? 90% of your problems are gone, only 10% is left. Now ask yourself the questions. Okay, I understood impurity in the mind. I understood you are saying empty the mind. I understood the distraction. But question is, why this mind is getting into this? From where? Impurity. Why? I don't know anything in the world. I see you are, I see you, and I find that I see my love in you. So I love you. Am I not doing anything right? Why? Problem is when we have a blind belief, we don't use our intellect. Write down. When you are in anxiety, when you have negative emotions, you have a firm belief I am suffering, negative emotion belongs to me, but does not belong to you. So you have a blind faith. Then who will say you? My master used to say, "O mind, be at peace, this will also pass." So now we are going little deeper. Once you understand this and you start working on in your mind, that mind will live in meditation 24 by 7. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha, a single phrase. But we have to open this. This is a zip file. We are opening up slowly. But keep a smile on the face, Leslie. Keep a smile on the face, yes. Now, here the concept comes. I will touch briefly. Briefly means, briefly means so that you digest, you are able to digest it. You are able to digest it. Yoga Sutra, I was talking perhaps on Thursday or Monday, that there are texts which explains you the terms, the meaning. Like yoga term is explained beautifully, chitta, vritti, nirodha. Then there are texts. which combine these terms and they explain you the concept, the principles. Then there are other third group of the text. They explain you the fundamental principle, how this works. You see, nowhere you find there, oh, believe me, and then it will take care of you. No. And then what happens? There are fourth group of the text which explains you the concept, systematic study, organized principles. So this Yoga Sutra comes at the fifth level. We have not covered the first four group of the text, but I'm trying to combine all this. So, coming to that answer, what is that answer? Every object of this world contains three gunas. Three guna means three qualities. What we are doing? We are studying the second sutra of the first chapter of Patanjali Yoga Sutra, based on the commentary by Vyasa. That is what we are understanding. Clear? So, what Vyasa, before Vyasa says anything, I am laying a foundation. Every object of this world consists of three gunas, or you can say guna means quality, attribute, huh? Quality, right? They are three modes of the nature, and they have a most decisive influence on the body, life, and the mind. You're angry. So once I listen to you, I will explain you which of the three qualities is dominant in your mind. See the beauty of understanding. You have a negative emotion. So you sit with me, so I analyze and I find out which of the three qualities is dominant in you. So what I will do? I will that predominant quality, I will bring it down. So your negative emotions will evaporate. Are you understanding? See the simple, such a beautiful. So now, the Eastern wisdom, and that means the yoga says that everything, anything that you see is made up of the three qualities: your food, your clothes, your sense organ, your mind, your intellect, huh? Your thought, your body, all are made up of these three qualities in different permutation and combination. Sometimes you don't like me, so you have a smile on the face, but internally there is something else cooking on. So you see that there are two types of emotion. So that is also consists of these three qualities. What the heck, I don't want to understand. Simply tell me about emotions. We are understanding that. So you see that still they are made up of the three qualities. Clear? First, what are these three qualities? What is their name? Their name is Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. What we are understanding, do you still remember? We are understanding the second sutra. Yoga is the emptying the mind of its content. You see that this is what is Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. We say three, right? So these three modes, so understanding these three modes of the nature that permeate our sense organ, body, mind, intellect, food, attitude, thought, speech, action. But they do not become evident until we treat the path of yoga, until we start observing ourselves, until we start understanding our own mind, our own feeling, our own body. Did you get it? Second point. So I have already answered your objection. How do you understand these? I don't see anything. No. You have to you have to observe your life daily, your mind daily, your feeling. First thing that I do in the morning when I wake up, I close my eyes. The moment I wake up and I ask, hey, how are you, body? How are you doing? Someday I feel little heaviness. It's natural. It's a body. Body is constantly changing. So I know how to take care of it. Why? Somatopsychic problem, not psychosomatic. Okay? So it is traveling from the body. If the body has some problem, then I look at the breath. I communicate with the, how are you doing, my breath? Are you okay? How are you, my mind? Mind says, I'm with you. I'm living deeper within. No problem. So now we will understand little bit about these three qualities. Tamas. Tamas. First, understand that tamas has a profound influence on the body and the matter all around. Rajas has a tremendous influence on the breath, prana. Sattva has the most potent influence on the mind. Did you get it? Three qualities. So we have yet to understand what is tamas, what is rajas, and what is sattva. But we have understood most potent influence on the mind, sattva, rajas, prana in the life, tamas, body, physical body. But all the three, it does not mean the mind does not contain the tamas and rajas. Predominance. Huh? Predominance. Huh? Got it? But all the three gunas influence the body, life, and the mind all the time. All the time. The proportions of these gunas present at one time varies from the other time. When you wake up in the morning, the proportion, permutation, and combination of these three gunas are in millions. So one day you wake up in the morning, it is a good morning. It is because of the three gunas. The next day you say it's a bad morning. It is because of the three gunas. You say, honey, you don't love me. It is because of the three gunas. You say, now see. You see, intuitively you asked a good question, Leslie. We are answering everything. We are opening up. So you see that? The second day, you say, honey, I know you love me because of the three gunas. I am going to commit suicide because of the three gunas. Disclaimer. We say whatever is happening in the mind, understand, know it, how it is happening, why it is happening, where it is happening. Then I know what is happening deep inside my mind at the deeper level, at the surface level. Once I have a right knowledge, when you have a right knowledge that there is a fire in front of you, you will not touch it. Because of ignorance, because of incomplete knowledge, we do not we do not succeed in meditation. We do not succeed in any venture. So now come to understand the sattva. The sattva. What is sattva? Typically, it is pure. Typically, it is pure. But all human beings are impure. Does that make a sense? You see the logic? You see the understanding? That is how the Yoga Sutra is opened. We say what we say, sattva is pure. But typically, we are impure. The impurity is nourished and increased by the predominance of rajas and tamas. We, no? We have a proverb in Western: human is to err. Human is to err. No? I remember just now. Why? Because of the other two gunas. But our natural temperament is pure. So don't accept when someone says, by birth you are a sinner. I'm not going into any religion. You see the beauty of understanding. We don't say that you are a sinner. You cannot be a sinner. You see the difference? Based on this concept, human is to err and human is a sinner. Freud says you have lot of repressed material inside, you have to release it. How long it will take? The entire life until you die? Not a possibility. No, I'm leaving that part here. The impurity of the mind is of two kinds. I started with impurity. I explained you impurity. What is that impurity? Now we are understanding. Yeah. First, inertia. That is known as impurity. Impurity is not that, you have collected garbage in the home. That's the physical level. So what we say, when your life is full of inertia due to lack of inclination to work, that is because of tamas. Leslie, we are opening the mind. We are finding where those crazy stuff lies and where the good stuff is located. And second impurity, rajas causes excitement due to wrong impulses. I'm defining it. You see that? From where we started? Sattva, we are we are pure. But all human beings are impure. The impurity is nourished by predominance of rajas and tamas. So it means the impurity is of two kinds. The first kind of impurity, inertia, the impurity due to lack of inclination to work. You keep lying down on the bed. You wake up at 12 o'clock in the day is your morning, and your honey is upset. Honey, come on. I love you. What the honey will say? Better keep lying down. See that you have to understand, you have to observe your daily life. Then only you can understand these three gunas. Simply by just listening, it will not work. So, rajas causes excitement. Now, understand little deeper. Ignorance, delusion, unsystematic thinking, laziness, too much of sleep, irritation belongs to tamas. It does not belong to you. Are you getting it? It does not belong to you. Ignorance, delusion, unsystematic thinking, laziness, too much of sleep, irritation, pessimism, add pessimism also, hopelessness, fear, and whatever nourishes lack of effort belongs to tamas. Do you say sometime? Do you say sometime? Oh, I feel hopelessness. You are not feeling hopelessness. It is happening in the mind due to tamas. If I remove the tamas, there will be no thought and feeling like this. Are you getting it? This is the way to understand. So, the impurity of the tamas is to be removed by increasing rajas. Three gunas: sattva, raja, tama. So I have tamas, right? So tamas, to remove the tamas, I have to increase rajas. So you don't know, I'm totally hopeless. Now I am on the verge of a divorce. So you are making the other responsible. So at that moment, I observe myself. I have a sense of hopelessness. Huh? It has nothing to do with the divorce. It has to do with my state of the mind, which is dominated by the tamas. I have to increase the rajas to set my life on the right path. No, that is second part, whether you divorce or not divorce. That is secondary part. So rajas is the cause of impulsion, effort. Now, see, I'm adding, if you really have gone in the first few lessons on yoga, I talked about attachment and detachment. So, what happens? The tamas builds a strong sense of attachment from inside, and when you increase the rajas by impulsion and effort, you discover, oh, there is a sense of detachment. And the moment you find the detachment, 50% of your problem is gone. Very subtle. He who is inert is not only truly, so once not inert. So once you follow that rajas, what happens? You find the sense of detachment. Detachment from what? Detachment from inertia, detachment from pessimism, from hopelessness, from laziness, from unsystematic thinking. And the mind is really free. And then what happens? You move the mind into the sattva, you enter into discernment and dispassion. You become free. Are you getting it? So I will answer again why I have taken up this, because Vyasa explains something unique. So I started with, do you remember, I'm recalling impurity of the mind, distraction. This impurity and the distraction is caused by the three modes of the nature, sattva, rajas, and tamas. So we are understanding the different qualities of these three main guna. Where it is located in the body, it is located in the life, mind, it is located in the mind. So there is not a single thing in this world that do not contain these three gunas. These three gunas are in different proportion. Are you getting it? Huh? I'm explaining first what the Vyasa says, and after that I will go directly to the what Vyasa says. So that will make a sense, right? So our interaction in the world depends on these three gunas, their quality and their quantity. I'm guiding you, and then suddenly I say, what the hell you are doing, Leslie? That is not teaching and guiding. Wrong. In yoga, we say that is totally a wrong approach. So our intention in the interaction in the world depends on three gunas, their particular level. According to the nature of the birth, the real self will have sattva, rajas, and tamoguna distinct from each other. What does it mean? You have taken a birth in a particular parent. You have some inherited tendencies. Now I'm explaining based on the science. So, what we are saying is the same, provided are you ready to understand. But our perception is totally different. That gives you more clarity. So, what we say? That because of your inheritance, different condition, at a different environment, you are born with these three gunas. But we add caveat. What is the caveat? We say real self is not affected by these three gunas. Your true nature is not affected by the three gunas. It's such a beautiful way to understand. Do whatever the three gunas make you crazy, lazy, obsessed, but still, my real self is intact. And the discovery of that real self is yoga. It means there is an apparent nature outside and there is a real nature. So, my apparent nature, the cause of my apparent nature, is the caused by the three gunas. Now, a magic happens here. What the magic happens? What the master says? The sattva guna, 99% it is present in the mind. So when I say it is mind, means it is present in the mind, intellect, ego. Alexandria says, in a glass of water. Right? See that? What the magic says? That this mind by default is pure, full of knowledge and happiness. We did something. We are responsible for causing worries, anxiety, problem. We increase the rajoguna and we increase the tamoguna in that mind. How? What is the answer? So I look at Christina, example only. Christina, it is only an example. Don't take otherwise. Otherwise, I will give example with Lara and Kate. So I see you. What does it mean? Seeing is knowledge. You are Christina. I know you. Right? Now, how I make the mind impure? Tell me. I project my feeling, my thought on the Christina. I go against the knowledge. So either if Christina approves, I have a positive feeling. If Christina disapproves, I have a negative feeling and emotion. Who is responsible? I am. So I am responsible for my sorrow and happiness. Look at it. How simple it is. So, did I say that Alexandria missed it? Missed the main part. She did not listen. Do you see that? That I am responsible for my sorrow and happiness. And how beautifully our master says, mind by default is 99% pure, full of knowledge and happiness. But I distort that knowledge by increasing rajas and tamas. Are you getting an answer, Leslie, of your questions?
Yes and no. I still have one question when you're ready for
Not,
it.
let us complete and then keep that question in your mind. So now coming gradually, it leads to now what happens? If the rajas increases, it increases the slavery of my mind. It leads to desire, wrath, and the greed. If the rajas increases, so when it increases the desire, the wrath, and the greed, My mind is already impure. I am already seeking something else. My mind is already distracted. Desire, wrath, and the greed are the three powers of Rajas Guna. Our master says. Now I'm going again, we are going to understand step by step. We are going deeper. So means first I said desire, wrath, and the greed, three powers of Rajas, and these threefold doors of hell. What is hell? Hell is suffering. Hell is suffering. One psychotherapist from the Gilbert department there, she contacted me. I have a lot of problem with my honey. A couple of months before. So she did couple of sessions, but she was not ready to accept that it is her fault. It is the fault in her mind. She should correct it because once you are a psychotherapist, you are typically hypnotized by what you have learned in the psychotherapy. You do not want to change. You're not open. So in the last session, I said, I'm perhaps it is better that
Girish,
I
you
should
got Rajas going.
Rajas going. So you see that. So I asked her that it is better that I should return your money that you have paid in advance. No, no, I will complete all these sessions and then I will think something else. So 50-50, 50-50. So you see that Rajas, it is predominant, it is door to the hell. And understand hell, what it means in life. It is not that when we will die, then we will go to hell. We are already in the natural being falls when it indulges the impurity and evil and error of its lower and perverted instinct. From where we have started the journey, Sutra is Yoga Chittavritti Nirodha. Definition of yoga. What is the definition? Yoga is emptying the mind of its content. And from there, I started. I said that there is an impurity and there is a distraction that causes all the problem. We cannot succeed in yoga until we have to deal with the impurity. And then then we started with the three modes of the nature. Then we are understanding. Huh? We are understanding in detail in our attitude, in our behavior, in our maybe later on we will understand in our food, in our thought, in our speech, in our relationship, how these three, uh, how these three modes of the nature. Now, step by step, we will understand Sato-Guna first. Sato-Guna, it is the force of equilibrium that expresses good, harmony, happiness, knowledge. But it has one defect. In spite of having harmony, happiness, and the knowledge, it binds us by attachment to knowledge and happiness. That is why I gave an example of a peacock. Did you understand the example of a peacock? It happens. You give marijuana a little bit opium to the peacock. This peacock will return the next day at the same time. They are intoxicated. Are you intoxicated by the knowledge that you are getting? Are you a peacock in a good sense? That is the point I said. So now say Sattva Guna brings, you need not to worry about anything. You increase the Sato Guna, what will happen? Self-control, spiritual habit, cleanness, purity, honesty, straightforwardness, truth, calmness, compassion, modesty, gentleness, forgiveness, patience, steadfastness, sweet freedom from all restlessness. These are the qualities of the Sato-Guna. You take a pill of Sato-Guna, what happens? Self-control, cleanliness, purity, honesty, straightforwardness, truth, calmness, compassion, modesty, gentleness, forgiveness, patience. These all qualities come. You know, you have a headache and you'd say, okay, let me take a pill, and after some time the headache is gone. So, where we are doing something wrong, ask yourself. I am not increasing the Sato-Guna. I am practicing honesty. I am practicing compassion. It will not work. So, it becomes hypocrisy. Do you see that? Everything is very clear. Am I ready to lead my life in peace and happiness, love and wisdom? Am I ready? That is the main question. When you are ready, you are a seeker. We are talking about Satoguna, right? So you see that again, I'm repeating self control, compassion, uh, purity, honesty, straightforwardness, truth, compassion, gentleness, forgiveness, patience, sweet freedom from all restlessness. You are always rested. What are the again characteristics of the Sato-Guna? Goodness, faith, improvement, knowledge, happiness, joy, delight, love, non-violence, forgiveness, equality, truthfulness, courage, health, cleanliness. Lot of, some of them is this is what the qualities of a sattva. Now, there are almost, we have counted almost in different texts, we have counted about 48 qualities, but there are 10 main qualities. First, you see that. Now, how we understand the Satoguna. First, there are 10 qualities. It has the power of knowledge, it has the power of dispassion, huh? It has the love of knowledge, it has the power of austerity, it has the power of truth, it has the power of forgiveness, patience, physical and mental purity, self awareness, and wisdom. 10 qualities. All these 10 qualities can be said only one. They reduce to one. What is that one? Can you think of it? Right knowledge. When you have a right knowledge, you hammer your mind again and again. Let me have the right knowledge. And all these qualities will come. First 10, and after that, all the other qualities will enter into your life. We do not understand. We want to live in blind faith. We have our own wrong notions and ideas. Are we ready to break the shell? Then where comes the problem of distraction or impurity in the mind? Do you see that? Did you understand? Now let us move to the Rajoguna. Accordingly, the same format we will understand. The seed of the force and the action, that is Rajoguna, expresses in struggle, effort, passion, action. Rajas is the nature of attraction, springing from craving and attachment. It binds the individual by attachment to action. The greed is born from Rajas. Greed. I just gave an example. I see Christina. Now, something inside attaches. That is Rajoguna. So now from the perception, from the right perception, from the Sato-Guna, I move to Rajoguna. Now I am attached. So I project something in Christina and the problem comes to me. Who is responsible for it? Is it the beauty of Christina or is it my craziness of the mind? Ask yourself. No, I'm just giving an example. Alexander, do you see that? Who is responsible? So now relate it. I cannot understand the working of the three gunas if I do not observe my life daily in terms of the thought, feeling, emotions, action, response. Are you getting it? Summarize. But in order to understand the entire perspective, that is why I started explaining this. Now, Rajoguna. The seed, I say Rajo is a child of individual attachment to the object's desire. What did I say? Rajas is a child of my attachment to the objects I desire. What a beautiful way. Again, I practiced counseling so in India, so here I'm not doing it. I studied, there are 2,000 page book, Abnormal Psychology. More than 3,000 illnesses are there. And I started thinking whether I have any one of these symptoms which you find in common. You will definitely find common. I have reasons to believe those who study. No, you have to fill in the blanks. What we are studying here, we are studying peace and happiness. Our real look at. So it is born from the nature's thirst for unpossessed satisfaction. I am not happy. I am not satisfied. I will go to another restaurant. I will buy another dress. I will earn more. I'm always running. That is the characteristics of Rajoguna. It is always full of unrest. And if I say that unrest is a fever in me, I had a wonderful friend of mine in India, and together we used to go to the store. We were neighbors, and so we bought in, and then we used to eat some time together. So every day after taking dinner, oh, let us go for a walk. Okay, so why don't we go to the mall again? So we return again around 10:30 in the night. Oh, now can we have a cup of tea and coffee? Every time you are restless, I have to understand that. The state of the restless is coming from the rajas. Nobody else outside is responsible. Increase sattva. Done. What we say? Increase the pressure on others, harm them, fight with them. See that? No. Rajas is a kinetic force in the modes of the nature. Its fruit is the lust of action, also grief, pain, all kinds of suffering. Leslie, for the time being, forget about negative, positive emotion, but think of the Rajas Guna. It has no right possession of its object, huh? But still it suffers. When I suffer from the grief, pain, all kinds of suffering, there is a lust for the action. I have to take stock of this Rajas Guna in my attitude, in my thought, in my feeling. My master used to say, "Get out! You don't understand." So is he in the mode of Rajas Guna? No. Traditional teaching is very harsh, very tough. The more close you are to the teacher, and the teacher is very tough on you. When you are too far, "Oh, I have come to meet you, I have heard your name, you are a good teacher and a great teacher." The master also says, "Let me bless you, go." Teaching is totally, you don't find that way. And I have, if I say outwardly, the wrath, anger of my master, but my master never become angry, but he expressed his. So that is the way. In that environment, I learned. Not one, two, but more than 26 years. So, following are the characteristics of the Rajas: beauty, wealth, fighting. These are the qualities of the Rajas. So, along with the side of the beauty, wealth, fight, lack of spirit, lack of kindness, experiencing happiness and grief, alternatively, interest in blaming and complaining. You see that? In majority of my sessions, stop, blame, complain, and reaction game. Stop this. Interest in blame, criticizing others, interest in argument without any basis. So you have to be very clear, Leslie, before you ask me another question. If it has a basis. No, even you can ask me. I'll make it clear. Interest in argument, counter argument, ego, arrogance, worry, hostility, grief, snatching others' wealth, shamelessness, crookedness, divisive thinking, cruelty, all are the good qualities of a Rajas. Not yours. Remember, real self is independent of all the three qualities. So, what is mindfulness? We say sometime transcend all the three qualities. That is why we explain. Are you getting? Rajas Guna prompts sorrow, lack of confidence. Sometimes we do too much. I will not eat from today because I had a lot of problem in my digestive system. And again you suffer. There are a lot of couple of qualities. We can say lack of confidence, over fasting. Every karma is done because of some selfish nature. What I will get, how much I will get. For God's sake, I didn't ask Clara and Kate how much you are paying me. So anyhow, but because I thought you both are seekers, so let me continue the journey, forgetting that aspect. So we have to change. But it does not mean that I don't ask for, no, you have to pay me. Sometime 150, sometime $200 per hour. Lara knows. So you have to balance it. So, so there are a lot. Now, there are 9 qualities in the Rajas can be reduced to 2 qualities. See that beauty. So that you understand by regular observing your life. You should live into the self awareness every day, every moment, every interaction. What are those 9 qualities in Rajas? Discontentment, not contented, all the time. Repentance, sorrow, greed, unforgiveness, suppressing people and oneself. You suppress others, but you suppress yourself, seeking sensual pleasure more and more, out of control. Anger, jealousy. These are the 9 qualities out of which you live into that state of unhappiness, grief, suffering, negative emotion, etc., etc. And then it is reduced to only 2 qualities. What is that? Outward moving mind, 24 by 7. How it can help you to sleep better. And then you say, I have a disturbed sleep. Let me go to our dearest psychiatrist who gives us lot of pills and sedatives. Rajoguna means 2 qualities. First quality, outward moving mind. And second is sorrow. 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 Unhappiness. How are you doing? I'm fine. I'm happy. I have seen with a lot of people. You'll be surprised. So I say, okay, let us continue our conversation. So in the first statement, what you said, I'm very happy, doing everything good. No, I have some problem after the few minutes. No, I have some problem with my business. And then, my honey also does not understand. And then your mind is full of complaint. You are suffering. You may say outwardly that I'm very happy. Are you understanding, Antoinette? That is what happens in our life. You sit, and after sitting for a few minutes, no, I have a lot of problem. Rajas Guna. Kate, we don't need any depression inventory to check people. You just sit with me for a few minutes and then it's okay, I know. Where are you going? If you started that I'm doing very good, happiness, so you should continue your journey with the happiness. The mind slips. You do whatever you want to do, the mind will slip if you are dominant in Rajoguna. Do whatever you want to. You want to hide, it will not be hidden. Forget about it. Keep smiling, everyone. Do you see the such a subtle psychology, if you say? Now coming to the Tamoguna. It is the force of unconsciousness and inertia. It expresses an obscurity, incapacity, inaction. Obscurity, one, incapacity, inaction. It is born of ignorance. You oppose simply the knowledge. Why? Because you are living in delusion. Why not many people enter into this kind of an understanding? Why they do not take a serious journey into the yoga? Because of tamas. They oppose knowledge. They oppose simply knowledge. No, I have my style of yoga. And I went 3 spinal surgeries after doing my style of yoga. Ignorance. You cannot say anything. So she came to me with the force. Now, if you have 26 years of experience, I have also 16 years of experience, plus dividend, 3 spinal surgeries. I didn't say that. Why should I say that? That's your problem. Tamas is born of inertia and ignorance. Understand this clear. Inertia and ignorance. And its result is inertia and ignorance. It starts from inertia and ignorance, and the result is inertia and ignorance, all kinds of confusion and delusion. When you say I'm confused and deluded, you are in the control of tamas. What does it mean now? Pay attention. Now we are going little deeper. Because it begins with inertia and ignorance. Its result is inertia and ignorance. Hence, in that respect, it is opposite of Sato-Guna. Pay attention. It's a very deeper. I always like to start with little higher level. Why? If you do not understand higher level, I have a liberty to go to lower down. What is the way the science makes you understand? It starts from the lowest level. Okay, just see any science, any branch of the science. We always start from the highest. Real self is devoid of all the three gunas. And now you understand the lower level. You see that? Did you understand that? Because inertia and ignorance is opposite of light, opposite of knowledge, opposite of enlightenment. So in that respect, tamoguna is opposite of satoguna. Clear? Clear? Now go a little deeper. Rajas is a movement, an impulsion, an outward moving. So it means in that respect, it is also opposite of Sato-Guna. That is why we have to allow the mind to move in Sato-Guna, to enter into the highest state of meditation, to transform my mind. Are you getting it? Are you getting it? So we understand how Tamoguna is opposite of Sato-Guna, how Rajoguna is opposite of Sato-Guna. I don't want to understand you. I don't want to know what you say. Tamoguna, blaming and complaining. I don't like you. I hate you. Both are opposite of knowledge in a different way. And that is where you are caught by this nature. And then you find that you are. Now, as I said, Tamoguna has 8 qualities. And then it is converted, it is reduced into only 3 qualities. What are the 8 qualities? I don't want to think. If you are wrong, you are wrong. Idea of I don't want to know what is right and wrong. That is the first. Delusion, 2. Infatuation, 3. Dreaming, 4. Sleep, 5. Huh? Sleep, 5. Suffering. I am suffering. I don't know. I am suffering. God is responsible for my suffering. Hatred. So these are the 8 qualities of tamas. Again, do it. Non discernment, delusion, infatuation, dreaming, sleep, ego, suffering, and hatred. So, what is my job? Do I need to go to the Himalayas to know these qualities? No, I have to live my daily life. My daily life, I become aware of these traits. And now I know, come on, nature, you are putting me into the tamas mode. And sattva goes to aeroplane mode. You see that silent mode. Bring that into an active mode. Only that is required. That is why I say keep smiling, my friends. I'm not responsible after 2 hours. Then it is your choice. You keep a big face or you after 3 hours. You see that? So now these tamoguna is reduced to three qualities. The state of being undecided means confused state, error of perception and judgment, and perverted perception. See the beauty. Perverted perception. Honey, how without you I cannot live. And the honey says, better do not live. It is better do not live. Yes, Kate. What you're asking.
So what's the difference between why is perverted perception in and of its
perverted,
own when you have an
perverted
error of
perception
perception?
by default. The Sanskrit word is viparita pratipatti. Viparita and viparita patti. There is only
Rewrite
a
it.
little difference. The first is that it is undecided. Why I am undecided? Because I live in the state of confusion. What is that state of confusion? It is an error in judgment. So when there is an error of judgment, sometime we have an error in judgment. We argue too much, but we don't enter into, we do not understand what is that error of judgment. So when I get obsessed with the error of judgment, then what happens? It becomes a perverted perception. So the mind lives into the three modes. They are more or less the same thing. We can say it is only delusion, but for the sake of understanding, I would say it is coming from a Sankhya Sutra, Sankhya Yoga. So I'm using. So did you understand from where we have started? Where we have started? Sutra. Yogaschitta Vritti Nirodha. We said yoga is emptying the mind of its content. Why? That we will understand in the third sutra. So, to briefly say, once you empty the mind of its content, then you discover your real nature. Then the real nature that is working on these three gunas, you need not to worry about it. Your life is full of happiness. Clear? But why we understood this crazy stuff? Because we have to understand these sutra based on the commentary given by Vyasa. So then we understood what? Impurity of the mind and distraction. Then we understood the cause of the impurity and distraction because of the three gunas. We understood these three gunas, right? Now I'm copying and pasting. What I'm pasting? I'm pasting you what Vyasa says that I expressed in my own term. That is why we took up this process. What it says, Sutra defines what yoga is. Yoga is emptying the mind of its content. Because Patanjali did not say empty the content of the mind, is emptying the content of emptying all the content. You have to correct it. Emptying all the content. All the content of the mind is yoga. Therefore, yoga state is realized with the contents in the mind, not completely empty. Means in the beginning, Sato-Guna has to be there. The qualities, the traits, and the attitude. The mind possessed of the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. This is what the Vyasa says. I'm not saying the or mental essence, which is indeed of the form of wisdom and illumination, being mixed with the other two qualities. That is the problem of all the suffering in my life. So I have to get rid of that. The same mixed through the tamas, etc., etc. He says this, and I have expanded this for the sake of understanding how to apply this in your life. See that? I don't know anything, so I didn't say anything from my own. I said whatever is written. So what happens? The quality of the Sato-Guna is knowledge, discernment, dispassion. But why I need it? That will separate me from the all the traits of the Rajo and the Tamoguna, including negative emotion, negative feeling. Leslie. So once I increase the Satoguna, it totally separates me from those negative traits which we have understood just now. Then what happens? The mind is totally free from anxiety, stress. There is a total clarity. There is freedom from letharginess, anger, activity, violence, crime. And you live into that state of wisdom. The highest state of that wisdom is mindfulness, meditation. Did you get it? So now we will. I have, yeah, that is also. Yesterday I studied at least 10, 15 modern authors how they translated the sutra. And you see, does any of this translation in English really fits this explanation? Restraint, modifications of the mind stuff is yoga, suppression, restraining, inhibition. What you're talking about and what the master is saying. Have a right knowledge. Cessation of the turning of the thought, control of the thought waves in the mind. Come on, that's not the right approach. So when you see, that is why I always look for the book which is explained based on the teachings of our commentator. So it is for you to contemplate and reflect. I have no authority. Why? When you contemplate and reflect, then you know huh, what to say, when to say it, not only to your mind, but to your, you can change your life. Clear? Let us go a little more deep. What is the origin of mind? You see, we don't leave anything. If the knowledge is sleeping means, knowledge sleeping means, what is the meaning in how we say knowledge sleeps? It is sanshaya, doubt. If you have any doubt, it means the knowledge is sleeping. How beautiful the way our masters explain. You have doubt, you have conflict and confusion. It means there is no clarity about the knowledge. I have to understand it again and again. When you understand with the clarity, there is no doubt. How can you stop the smile on your face? So, what is the origin of the mind? I will not go very deep into that, but briefly, when matter comes in contact with the consciousness, mind is created. Another way to understand, when I am communicates with what I am not, mind is created. Alexandria, when I am comes in contact with what I am not, that is Alexandria, mind is created. It is the mind that says, I know you. Do you see that? I know my house, I know my car. So when you know the car is not you, so matter and consciousness, simple understanding. I'm not going very deeper. So you can say it with confidence, yes. When there are two things, one is I am, clear, and other is I am not. Huh? I am none of you. I am not screen. I am not monitor. I am not computer. I am not my house. So when matter comes in contact with the consciousness, the mind is created. Are you aware? I'm giving the final answer to all, including Leslie. Does matter have any problem? You leave the smartphone, it stays there. You leave it for 100 years, it is gone, fragmented. You leave the house for 200 years, dilapidated. So matter does not complain of any problem. Clear? Does not complain. What about consciousness? Consciousness also has no problem. Think of it. Think. Consciousness has no problem. That is true yoga. Very good, Eric. Yes. That is true yoga.
Happy Valentine's Day!
Happy Valentine's Day.
He can't hear you. You guys are on my ears.
So, did you understand? Matter does not have a problem. Consciousness does not have a problem. When matter and consciousness go together, it becomes the mind. Mind has a problem. Are you getting it? So, when your car breaks down and you hit your foot on the car, you crazy. You are crazy, not the car. See, daily life. Daily life. Why don't you listen to me, honey? Today is Valentine's Day. So it is your problem. It is not the problem of others. Do you see that? You see, once you have a clarity of understanding, 90% of the problem is already gone. What did I say? I'm repeating again. Matter has no problem. Consciousness means the real self has no problem. Then where is the problem in my life? In my mind. So where I have to find the solution? I have to find the solution in the mind. So what Patanjali is saying? Empty the mind of its content is yoga. Is he saying right or wrong? Look at it. That is how we arrive at right knowledge, right understanding. But if this does not go and settle into your mind, and your mind is still blaming, complaining, reacting, and I have already explained Raju and Tamoguna stuff. Are you a seeker? Ask yourself. Are you a seeker? No, you're not a seeker. If you are not a seeker, then how can you enter into that state of permanent peace and happiness? Then you study for the sake of a study. When others, your students come, then you have a bigger smile. When your student goes away, I don't want to say. What Alexandria is saying. So it is not enough. In the very first chapter, we understand the 5 subjective states of the mind, 5 objective states of the mind, the cause of the mind, the cause of the thought pattern, and their classification, a means to end those craziness in the mind. Huh? The- all this nature, structure, function, process, and method, that is included in the first step. So, some Western authors, definitely, if they have said that Patanjali is the father of Eastern psychology, they are not wrong. He explains everything. How to practice, what to practice, what is the very nature of the practice is there. What is that mind? How it becomes crazy. When it becomes crazy, how to deal with it. Huh? So first in the four sutras, Athiyoganushashanam yogaschittavritti nirodha tadadrashtu swarupe avasthanam. Huh? And there is another fourth one. So all the four sutras summarizes the entire journey of yoga. Then he goes on explaining each and every aspect. You see the Eastern wisdom? We start with the highest. So if you do not understand, we can go down to any level. Provided, are you committed? Are you a seeker? Right? Now, did you understand why the mind is wandering? Why the mind has negative emotion? Why it becomes crazy and lazy? Why it has strong likes and dislikes? So once we have a clarity of understanding, we have a right knowledge, then where is the problem? Then by simple regular practice, after a few days and few weeks of the practice, we start living a life. Now understand, when I say Sato-Guna 1, second I said this Sato-Guna is predominantly centered in the mind. And if Sato-Guna quality is the knowledge, knowledge do not change. Knowledge remains knowledge. Huh? I know Kate, so that knowledge of the Kate remain as the knowledge of the Kate. It cannot become the knowledge of Alexandria or Christina. So because of that, this mind, 90%, I'm just giving an example. When I explain again the same sutra, I will say something else. But for the sake of understanding, this mind by default, 90% pure, full of knowledge, peace, happiness, and wisdom. Please regain this mind. That is what the yoga is. Don't fight with it. No suppression. 7% is dominated by rajas, and 3% is dominated by inertia, the tamas. Think of this proportion: 90%, 7%, 3%. So, what we do? Sometimes we say 90% is tamas. Sometimes we say 90% is rajas. How can you live a happy life? How can you smile 90 all the time? No way. No way. Do you see? That's my expression to make you understand. Did I tell you that body is predominantly tamas? Prana is, life is predominantly rajas, and mind is predominantly sattva. Sattva means knowledge. Did I tell you sattva? One quality. And the one quality is expanded to 10 qualities, 10 to almost 48. And all are good. From where it has originated? From the right knowledge. Right knowledge of what? Right knowledge of Mars and the moon? Sometimes we say, you look at those crazy scientists, they have gone to the Mars and moon, but they do not know who am I. What a great ignorance. We appreciate what you have done, but do you know who am I? No. Fortunately or unfortunately, I am also a student of science. I did my physics and chemistry and applied physiology and then psychology. I studied all these subjects. See that? See the beauty. The very nature of the Sato-Guna is peace, which cannot be changed. You cannot create peace and happiness. It is already there. How do you prove it? Can you make one example? Let me talk about the science again. The science says there is a natural tendency of every human being or every living being is to move towards peace and happiness. Natural tendency. I did not give that natural tendency. It is deeper within you. And that deep within you is your real self. That real self is made up of peace and happiness, love and wisdom. Why shouldn't I seek that? Yoga is emptying the mind of its content that reveals the knowledge of the reality. How do you empty the mind? So you start working on the mind. Instead, the mind is working on you. When the mind is working on you because of Raju and Tamoguna, Raju and Tamoguna makes your mind move outside, becoming crazy, getting stressed, feeling negative emotion, etc., etc., etc. Yeah? Sequential understanding, I said, Satoguna, 90%. Now it is Rajoguna is 90%. That's why mind is working on you. You are slave of the mind. So by Patanjali is saying, empty the mind of its content. He's hinting, start working on your mind. Don't take empty the mind literally. You have to work every day. When you are in my session, you have to keep smiling. You have to work every day. You need not to forget. I need not to say it. Are you understanding? So this is what, I know will take some time. So what that we will study in Gita, but just it came to my mind. Samatvam yoguchyate. Krishna says in Gita, he explains in a different way. He says equanimity of mind is yoga. Think of the equanimity. And then after he explains equanimity, he goes back to the same stuff, Sato-Guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. Look at
Will
it.
you write that in the comments, Girish, please?
Originator of yoga. Originator of yoga says, you see that? So it is the same thing. They all teach the same stuff, but they explain from a different point of view. Right? Let us take another few more. Now, did we understand the nature of the mind, origin of the mind, then the crazy stuff in the mind? So, after understanding clearly, now take one example. I see Lara. It is pure knowledge and perception. Now there comes a projection. Where the projection is coming, that projection distort, it leads to perverted perception, error in judgment, right? So it is happening in my mind. What should I do here and now? In order to keep Satoguna 90%, I should stick in my mind to that right knowledge. I should not go on explaining how beautiful Lara is, but I should keep the knowledge intact. How it happens when I live in self awareness. How self awareness comes. It is not the self awareness of a dog who looks into the mirror and starts fighting. as if that dog is different. That is what happens when we live at low level of self-awareness. Because that level of self-awareness projects first perception, then mind due to Rajo and Tamoguna projection. Third level is perversion. And then perversion causes me anxiety, reaction, anger. Oh, Lara doesn't love me. Why should she should love me? Why don't you love yourself? Crazy guy. See that? It is such a beautiful journey if we really understand. So now everything is done. So the master says, what happens then? That is the another beauty. In the third sutra, what master says, what happens then? He says, tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. Now I realize my real self. Where is the problem? Where is the negative emotion? Where is the negative feeling? There is nothing. Where is the perversion? Where is the projection? So what is left? Now I'm in peace. I express the same peace to everyone outside. You accept it good. You don't accept it good. Why? Even if you don't accept, I still live in peace. You accept it, huh? I still live in peace. That is what the third sutra says. Tada. Can you say tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam? Tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. Tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. Tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. Tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. So tada means then. Then means when you empty the mind. When Sato-Guna is 90%, that is the indication. Drashtu, seer. Who is the seer? You. Who is the seer of stress, anxiety, negative feeling? You. Understand that? Drashtuhu. Then what? After emptying the mind of its content, then the seer. So who is seer? Then you, Leslie, then you, Christina, then you, Lara. That real you finds its own nature. Huh? Swarupe, own nature, essential nature. So what happens? Avasthanam, you are settled there. When you are settled in a White House, you are president of United States. No problem. No worries. You see that? So that is what happens when you empty the mind of its content. Yeah, you see that? When you empty the mind of its content, that happens. Huh? And if you are not settled in that state, as long as you do not win an election, electoral college does not certify you, then you cannot be there. Then what happens? That is what the fourth sutra is. Now, I'm not interested in politics, but I'm just giving a metaphor to make you understand. So, what is that? Then that is the fourth sutra. So, he says, in the absence of mindfulness, mind lives and works with the worldly objects. Then what happens? You continue to live in stress and suffering. For some time, you say, okay, I ate pasta. Pasta gives me pleasure. So, as long as you are eating pasta, you are happy. And after a few more times, then again you are suffering. What should I do with this honey? I say honey, but he or she makes me crazy. So your mind is constantly running in Rajsik and the Tamsik Guna. It is alternating pain and pleasure, satisfaction, discontentment, until you reach to the final stage, until you electoral colleges have certified you. No one can leave, no one can throw you out of the White House. Otherwise, Rajsik and Tamsik gunas are there. So, vritti, say vritti, sarupyam, itaratraha, vritti, sarupyam, itaratraha, vritti, sarupyam, itaratraha. So, what it means, when I'm not living in the state in the Sutra 3, what the Sutra 3 explains, if I'm not living into that state, itaratra means the mind lives in the world. Why mind that lives in the world? Do you have an answer? Because of the impurity and distraction. But why the impurity and distraction? Rajsik and Tamsik Guna. So go and study Rajsik and Tamsik Guna. Start observing your life daily. No. I'm not going to live there. No Rajsik, no Tamsik Guna. Finished. So what is the key? Work on the mind daily. Do not allow the mind to work on you. What is the mind? Mind is the problem, but where the mind is created, when the matter comes in contact with the consciousness. The moment mind is created, ah, mind says, I'm okay, I can live in Sato-Guna, but you say, no way, you have to do like this. Perception is okay. Projection, 50% problem. And perversion means I'm looking for something outside for my peace and happiness. That is perversion. In our language, don't go to the other meaning that is explained. And then what happens? Then our life is gone. Then we have lot of problems to talk about. So these four sutra gives you a deeper insight of entire journey of life. Not only the journey of yoga. Ask your questions, how I should live. Who am I? I get the answer. What is the world? When that Raju and Tamoguna goes to the world, it produces lot of my behavior, attitude, stuff, etc. Oh my goodness. So if I bring down Raju and Tamoguna in my mind, what will happen? Sato-Guna. Sato-Guna will bring me the knowledge. Knowledge will bring me the happiness. And if I continue the journey, it will lead me to permanent peace and happiness. Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. And if I don't do it, then I live in same craziness and suffering. So these are the four sutras. First, so I classified these, in the chapter 1. So when we meet next week for these 2 hours of Yoga Sutra, then we will answer how mind is the cause and the means of suffering and the freedom. And how Patanjali answers that. Mind is still living with the same confusion and stuff. Even after understanding, mind says, no, I have a lot of questions. So Patanjali says, no worries. So in the next 6, 7 sutras, we will understand how the mind is the cause of the suffering and how the mind is the cause of happiness. What causes? At a very outer level, at a surface level. That is very important. So, another 5 minutes. If you have any question, ask me. If you have no question,
Girish, it's
yeah.
Laura. Here's what we were talking today. I had an insight. So, is emptying the contents of the mind kind of like clearing out our closet? Gotta
Yes,
throw
yes,
out
definitely.
and like throw
Clearing
out
clearing out of the closets accumulated from outside
outside. So
because
it's
of
like,
Rajo and Tamoguna.
and based off the past impressions that we've
Yes,
had and we've made
yes,
like ideas about.
yes, yes. In
Okay.
the current life and also in the previous
Yeah.
life. We will talk about that previous life also.
Do you now another question with the previous life? Do we also pick up stuff from our ancestors and our parents? Okay, and so we're also need to clean that up too.
Yeah. Eh, And what is that cleaning? Right knowledge that my mind is not interested in anything outside for my happiness. That understanding will clean the entire garbage. So, what is mind? You see, matter and the consciousness go together. So, for me, you are the matter. So, I have a right perception. No problem. I have a projection. The problem started, and that projection comes from the Rajoguna. Excitement, seeking pleasure, being happy with Lara. See, Rajoguna. When you visualize it, you see the entire scheme. So it means the mind has started working on you. Now, if you agree on my projection, I get pleasure. If you disagree, I get angry and agitated. I have negative emotion. See, just become aware and you see the entire scheme. Mind, you crazy, I have to work on you. How dare you are working on me? So you see that you have accumulated impressions in your closet even for 100 years. It takes a minute to clean it. So our master gives one example. Even if the dark you have not opened your house, that is 100 years, darkness can be thrown out by switching on the light. So we should not pay too much of importance. Now again Kate will say something, but I belong to the same profession. What do you say? I have chronic anxiety. So come on, it is darkness. Switch on the light, it is gone. That is what I want to point out. Oh, I have chronic anxiety. I'm so chronic constipation makes some sense. It is that way. But mental constipation does not make a sense.
Does
No,
and I have a question. Does the mental constipation that's like a story that you start to tell yourself when you live, because I work with a guy and he's like, I'm in rage. And every time he comes in, he's like, I'm in rage. And it's like, well, you're telling yourself that story at this point.
yes,
Is
yes,
that
yes.
okay?
Yeah. So once that is just like a darkness. So we have not to repeat the same story. I have to see what is the right, what is fact. I'm in peace. Peace is my essential nature. So what happens the moment you say you have already dissociated yourself? Wow, and how come? Raju and Tamoguna has now gone down instantly, here and now. That is why when I say keep a smile, your smile comes. Sato-Guna comes by default, isn't it? And if I say, show me anger, be angry to me, you will definitely say, anger is not coming. Give me a reason. Look at it. That is the beauty of the journey of yoga. Do you see that? Can I become aware? So I can only become aware of these three gunas regularly by observing my life, living my life consciously. Then I know how to take over the mind. Do you see? Repeat this. Think of the same example. Smile on the face and you instantly smile. Now, the next question, become angry. No, give me the reason. You will definitely say, give me the reason. Now, see that last point and then we'll give a break. Can you schedule to become angry tomorrow at 10 a.m.? Not possible. You will start at the 10 a.m. You will become, the moment you become aware, the anger goes away. Because in awareness, you cannot become angry. Are you getting it? That is the power of meditation. But if I say tomorrow at 10 a.m., please do the practice of meditation, you say, yes, I will do it. Do you see? So yoga, these great masters explores the center of our existence. So let us meet again after half an hour. We'll talk